school kids who were just using this program, and I thought that Ms. Whitson was using the students as models and logging in as a class, and she said, no, the students are doing IXL at home. So I called their parents, and they said, yes, they log in and they want to do IXL before they even start school in the morning. So we're very excited about the data that we've been able to collect. I can also pull the data. You can see the IXL effect here that talks about if students answer 15 questions a week, that there's a measurable impact on student outcome. And you can see the weeks that we've exceeded the questions that kids have answered. Also, we get reports on progress toward mastery. So here you can see students who have mastered skills and what skills they're proficient in. I just had a conversation with a parent who said, I have a math tutor for my son. He's struggling in class. What can I do? I was able to log into IXL and see where her student was, where her child was. And I said, have the tutor work IXL with him and work on those skills that he hasn't mastered, and that will start to close the gap. So we're excited that we can have questions about how students are progressing as needed. Also, if we get reports on the extended student learning, which you can see that we have, our students have answered over 261 questions from home. So we're watching that too. How much practice are students getting at home versus on IXL here at school? Elevate teacher engagement. I can go in and I can see which teachers are assigning IXL lessons to students. In this Elevate teacher engagement, there's a lot of ideas for teachers to use to incentivize the program and to kind of put charts and graphs in their classroom. So we're grateful that this is a grant. Again, it doesn't cost us any extra money out of our personal budget because the funding is coming from Freeport. Curriculum and programs. So listed are the programs we have for reading, what we use for math, science, and social studies, and what curriculum we're using for our dual language enrichment program. Staffing update, our current vacancies, we have 2 special ed positions, 1 middle school and 1 intermediate, 1 second grade position, 1 fifth grade position, and 1 psychologist position. We've currently filled these positions, the principal, first grade, fifth grade, middle school math, middle school ELA, and the library media specialist. So I pulled staffing trends for teacher vacancies that you can see from 4 years, 2016, 17. So you can see the number of teachers that were needed. In 2016, we hired 8 new teachers. In 2017-18, 4. 2018-19, 8. And this year we'll be hiring 6 new teachers. So recruitment and retention. So we've attended 2 job fairs at the U of A and at the Doubletree. We advertise on the following websites: our website, the ABE website, and a website called Handshake that goes out from different universities. And we just received 5 new applicants from just yesterday that we will be setting up interviews with from out of state who were notified through Handshake that new professor. I know one of the questions before was how do we retain our teachers and what do we do to continue to support them? So professional development on early release Wednesdays, and we provide a common plan. Size was 17 this year in first grade, so we did have some classes with 17, 18, 19 students. Our highest was a fifth grade class with 25 students. Our middle school students, staff still is at 25, but when we have electives and teachers have planning time, they go a little bit higher, and we have a plan to address that as well for next year. Another way that we retain our teachers is by covering 100% of their insurance costs. So a lot of districts, many districts do not cover 100% of insurance anymore because they just can't afford it. I was at a meeting this morning and we shared that some districts are having a 13% increase in insurance next year, 10%, and we, are experiencing a 9% increase in insurance costs for next year for our employees. But we're still fortunate enough to be able to cover 100%. So through natural turnover and attrition, we've lost some highly qualified, motivated, caring, and hardworking staff members. So we'll continue to recruit new teachers who are equally qualified, motivated, caring, and hardworking. And so I know some of you may have read an article that came out in the paper, and I just wanted to reiterate that through natural turnover and attrition, we lose highly qualified people who are motivated, caring, and that we continue. That's what we strive for. And yes, it's hard to replace teachers who have been working here, put in time and energy, but there's a lot of situations that are out of our control. So I can just reassure you that we will continue to search for people of high caliber to fill these shoes and these positions. So budget and financial stability. Like I mentioned before, we operate between $5 and $6 million budget. So the only way our budget will increase is if we increase our student population. And you know that our homes in Manera Highlands are growing, so we will be experiencing growth within the next, 5 to 6 years. We have a remaining carry forward of $150,000 in M&O, and typically districts like to carry over between $150,000 and $200,000 just to be on the safe side in case of an emergency. The air conditioning needs goes out, transportation, we need to buy a bus or whatever it is. If we had an influx of students that we weren't prepared for, we need to have money to do what needs to happen in order to continue to provide quality education for our students. We have our REAP funds, which is the small school, rural schools funding. So we get approximately $47,000 a year from that fund. And that's the money we've been using to purchase materials for our new reading curriculum for K-5, which is expeditionary learning, and for collections, which is the middle school ELA curriculum. And then from federal and state grants, we receive approximately $254,000. And that is specific for salaries, collaborations, and programmatic needs for special students. So we have to be very specific in how we plan to use those funds, and we have to continue to request funds yearly. Okay, tax credit funds. We are so fortunate that our tax credit funds sustain all of our clubs, athletics, and tutorials. So you can see the amount of money that we've received in the last 3 years and the amount expended through those clubs. This year, we have $83,000 that we've expended, but we have some clubs who are starting up in terms of our pickleball club. We've had money going into robotics, but Ms. Grimes started our robotics club, so we have funding there that we haven't been using because we didn't have club sponsors, so we're continuing to recruit club sponsors for certain groups. So communicating with our learning community. So again, informational, one way is super important on us just getting you critical information that you need. And collaborative, the two-way communication is equally important, that we share what we're doing and that we collaborate and have conversations. So there's a couple of ways that we communicate. Obviously our district website, our monthly newsletters, and monthly newsletters were addressed during our parent advisory group, so we kind of tried to add some more information. So we hope parents that you've noticed the difference in maybe the level of information that you've been receiving through the newsletters. Of course, there's always room for growth, but we're making changes in that. Robocalls weekly, we're trying to get better at that. Letting parents know when there's an awards assembly or when there's a special event, to let them know that they're welcome to come, because sometimes we put it in the newsletter, but we don't send out the reminder. So we're working on that as well. I have a parent advisory group, so we meet 4 or 5 times a year, and we discuss curriculum, communication, and school improvement efforts or ideas. We have a student advisory that also meets monthly, and those are 3rd through 8th grade students. So we talk about current trends that are going on in our school, teaching and learning. We talk about what do they think about the curriculum, what do they think about the Chromebooks. We nominate teachers for Ben's Bell Awards, so that's a really fun advisory time to meet with the students. Our parent-teacher club meets monthly for event planning and building a sense of community with parents and staff working together. And we just have such an amazing PTC here that I'm so proud of, because they work very hard, and you can see them around our campus daily. And just the energy and the time that they put into our school and our students is phenomenal. We have Site 301 committees that teachers participate in, and I just listed a few because we have an admin advisory, a curriculum committee, an emergency response committee. We have a positive behavior intervention supports committee. We have an instructional technology committee, a child support committee, which is new this year, where we're looking at-risk students and trying to analyze, is it attendance, is it behavior, is it the curriculum, what can we do to really have an intervention plan for students. And then we have the other committees that plan the literacy events, math night, science night, art night, which are also amazing and well attended, and it's just really great to see our parents and teachers working together on these events. Climate surveys will be going out next week, and we have climate surveys for teachers, for parents, and for students that they fill out. And climate surveys are very important. Last year, we only received 99 parent surveys back, and we really want parents' feedback, because that's what we review in the summer at our board retreat. That's what I can review with teachers when we come together and analyze data as an admin advisory and parent advisory. That's where we really talk about what is our community saying and what do we need to do to make better changes. Progress reports and report cards are obviously something that's very important, that we will make a commitment to send progress reports out every 4.5 weeks prior to quarter grades, which is something that some teachers do, but it's not something that we've made it an expectation. So that's something that we're going to work on, because I realize the importance of parents intervening prior to the end of the quarter. We will continue to have creative and innovative means for differentiating instruction for special needs and at-risk students. Through our IDEA special ed grant, we were able to purchase a metronome, and we are going to be training some of our staff, some of our volunteers, and our teachers to use this metronome instruction for our students who are at risk, and we're going to have it in a special room so parapros and teachers can go in and work with students at different times. Also, one thing I'm super excited about is we're looking at, our kids have been saying, why don't we have art in the elementary school? So right now we're in the process of planning with existing staff to provide art K-5 for our students. And this is going to be at no cost to the district, because we're just being very creative in how we use our existing staff to help meet the needs of the students. Identifying gifted students and developing a program to serve the students is also something that we know. We've listened to the board, we've listened to parents, and that's something that they have emphasized, and we really do want to make sure that we are identifying our gifted students and that we have a program for them. Through the Pima County Superintendent's Office, I just found out that there's a course for a gifted provisional endorsement. That's very inexpensive. It's $240 a person, so we're already sending 2 people to this training in the summer, so we'll have some endorsed teachers who will be able to help us develop a program. Our Child Support Committee is also working on an attendance policy, which is something that our teachers have discussed, and we discussed it as a board at one of our last study session, so we're going to be working on the attendance policy and increasing our incentives and recognitions for students and families in terms of perfect attendance as well. Recognizing quotes of the month and perfect attendance, so this is something that we, in terms of increasing our recognition for our students, we would like to recognize these students during our board meetings, and I've also heard a lot of feedback from parents and teachers that we shouldn't dismiss our students at the board meetings, and so I've already talked to our board president, and we are planning to move the recognitions after my report and the admin report, so that our reports are really about our students, so it'd be really nice for them to be able to see themselves highlighted in the data, so we're excited about that change. Our third graders next year will be receiving Chromebooks, so all of our 3rd through 8th graders will have their own devices next year to take home. Our new electives and clubs include coding, and we're looking at writing and reading using our existing staff as well to lessen the numbers of the electives in the middle school and offering more opportunity and choices for our middle school students. Progress monitoring, P2, and progress reports every 4.5 weeks, like I mentioned. We will ensure that this work is going to happen next year. Also, professional development for all content areas. This is something I was also able to write into our grants. So we have books on various topics: special ed, writing, reading, data-driven instruction, leadership, attendance. So we're going to be able to have teachers choose what they would like to maybe learn more about or to refine their craft, and we're going to be able to pay them additional time to collaborate on the readings that they are experiencing. So now is going to be time for questions and answers. So please remember that we're not at liberty to speak about specific personnel or mention names of any staff members. We value and appreciate your feedback and ideas. So now's your time to ask any questions, make any comments, and we're here to answer. Mr. Magallanes has the microphone.
There's something I'd like to say. If I could get up and have a couple of minutes.
Oh,
Can we do that?
No.
So first off, you guys are live streaming this tonight. Is this something that can be done at every board meeting and every study session, since you've got this capability?
Yes, sir. And
I don't understand this.
yes, and that was our plan. We tested it out and we're working out some glitches. So tonight, we're gonna be receiving feedback to see if it's projecting okay and if people can hear that are on it, but definitely it's our plan. The live stream meeting.
Okay, so what I'm going to address tonight, I addressed the board at the last board meeting, Mr. Ariana. I don't believe you were here, sir, when I spoke last time, so it's probably important that you hear it. And I'm glad everybody showed up here tonight. These are concerns I have, and I did attend the last board meeting, and I expressed my concerns. So I did prepare something, so I'll go ahead and say it. It might cover a lot of what you had already spoken about, but the overlap's fine. My name is Greg Jondro, and my son Eli is currently a 4th grade student here at Continental. My family and I moved here to the district 5 years ago when our son started kindergarten. We followed many of our friends and neighbors to Continental because of its great reputation. We like Continental because of its small school, because it is a small school, and had highly qualified and experienced teachers. Every year, Eli has had outstanding teachers, and our expectations as parents has been met by each grade level team. My wife and I could not be more grateful to the entire teaching staff for the commitment they make here at Continental every day. The teachers here are dedicated and work tirelessly to provide our children with the absolute best education. After 5 years of seamless transition between grade levels, we became concerned with the large number of recent resignations. These concerns were expressed by me at the last governing board meeting. My first concern was that many of the resignations will impact our son's 5th grade educational team. We're losing a principal of nearly 20 years, our school psychologist, our 4th and 5th grade special education teacher, and our 5th grade math and English teachers. Every year is a building block for our child's learning, and the loss of these key members will create a fracture in our child's educational foundation. My second concern was why we have local, highly qualified and experienced professionals leaving. Some of those leaving have chosen to commute more than an hour to take another teaching job, while others have nothing in place and would rather it be that way than to continue working here at Continental. It's very difficult to understand how Continental has not made employee retention a priority when the state of Arizona has a known teacher shortage. Also, there are more teacher shortages in the areas of English, math, science, and special education, which will be increasingly hard to fill. The result of these shortages places unqualified or underqualified teachers in the classroom. Continental needs to make recruitment and, more importantly, retention of highly qualified professionals their top priority, as this is key to student success. We do not want our school to become a revolving door, as teacher turnover harms student achievement, discourages educators, and is expensive for the district. After all, the district cannot move forward when all we are doing is starting over. As administrators and governing board, you are accountable. It's your honor and privilege to serve this community. Please ensure that every decision you make and every ballot you cast places the teachers and the students first. Thank you.
I just have a quick question, and could you provide more detail about, you mentioned the gifted, looking for gifted program, what you guys are looking to do there, because as far as I know, you guys don't have anything in place, and what you're looking at in that.
Right, so what we are doing is through our grants, because the state offered a gifted education grant of $1,000 for starters, so I was able to order testing material so we can test kids. So we are going to be sending referrals out to teachers and to students, to parents before the end of the school year, so that we can test some students in the summer. And actually our teacher is here who is willing to take on the testing endeavors to get some kids tested in the summer. Because we don't have, like I mentioned, we're being creative in how we are servicing our gifted students. So until we see how many we have, then we're going to be able to develop a plan on how we're going to service them. Is it going to be gifted education through art? Is it going to be gifted through writing? Do we do a 0 hour before school or maybe an after school club? Once we establish a part of a program, then it's easier for me to write grants to say, we have this program, we'd like to expand it, therefore we're requesting additional funds to continue to service our students.
So you're just starting with testing, and then there's no actual programming in place. When do you think you might have something like that?
So we're hoping, we're gonna see how many kids we can test this summer, and we can plan for the fall, and so hopefully we can start to address the students in the school. But one thing about the ISL program also is that it does level students for us, so it helps us to differentiate and extend the learning as well as modify for students who need more help. So we're going to have to be looking at what existing programs we have and how we can extend the learning opportunities for the students that we identify. Good question.
I have a few concerns. My first concern is my children have gone through Spanish immersion. Now that they're entering and in middle school, other middle schools around Sahuarita, when they go to Walden Grove or whatever high school they go to, are not going to have the same high quality experience in, it's different immersion than it is like when you get to middle school, you have actual structures. So is there any plan for adding Spanish to the middle school?
So we searched for a teacher last year that could do a middle school extension, for Spanish. I have our students who have gone through elementary are doing IXL in Spanish right now, and I know that's not enough, it's just a little tiny snippet of what we can offer, but we continue to try to seek out teachers who, can help us service our middle school students in Spanish. So one of our hopes was that maybe our middle school special ed teacher that we hire would have some bilingual skills that would be able to help us, or again, looking creatively with our existing dual language teachers and how they can help us service kids in the middle school. But that is a huge challenge for us.
And one more question, I understand IXL is very loved, or very appreciated, and while I appreciate it, I'm concerned that so much of my children's grades are applied to IXL. And I feel like there's tons of cool online schools, and if I wanted them to be an online school, I would have them go to an online school. Like mentioned before, we have excellent teachers. I want the teachers teaching my kids, and I want their grade based on what the teachers, I don't want them on a program. And also I know that recess was kind of taken away a little bit this year, and I feel like that's the problem. We don't have kids running around and we have them on the computer at home. So at school, I want them to have an opportunity to run around and not be on the computer all day. Again, we have excellent teachers who I want teaching them.
Okay.
So, I don't know. To reiterate, I would say 5 of the 7 people, 8 people who have made my child has an IEP, he has special needs, it's been quite a journey. I am terrified that Mary McNichols is not gonna be here next year. I'm sure the next one's great, but she has been such an advocate for my son. The people sitting right next to me have been such an advocate for my son. They have made his year successful. I mean, they've cried with me, they've held my hand. It's hard. So I'm very concerned right now for kids with IEPs, for kids with special needs, that so many of that population, those experts are gone. So I just have to speak on that as well.
I mean, to follow up on that, and what the gentleman spoke about, and I know you can't speak about individuals, but from my perspective, I have family who are teachers, and they all tell me it's about the leadership. And so, when I as a parent find out in the Green Valley News, I didn't find out any other way, that someone else had been hired as principal, in my head that means, and it happened, people are going to leave. And I know you can't speak about specific situations. It's really, from a parent's perspective, it's really disturbing to see leadership turnover like that. Because you know teachers are going to leave, and you've heard it. Not only teachers, but staff who are, here to help special needs kids. So I know you can't speak specifically about that. I was a little concerned about the selection process, about the candidate. It did not seem that that person had experience in administration. I'm sure there were other candidates, if I can get into it, but I'm concerned that we're just kind of overlooking the fact that we're losing significant staff here, probably because of the principal left. And I'm not aware of why she's leaving. I understand she had no plans to leave. So I guess I'm looking for someone to address that a little bit and say, gosh, we are losing a lot of folks in key positions.
So, like I mentioned on this slide, through natural turnover and attrition,
That's natural.
it happens in a lot of districts. So if you look at other districts right now, and today at my superintendent's meeting, we went around the room and talked about vacancies, and there's a high school that has 10 math vacancies in a year because the superintendent next door is offering a $10,000 signing bonus for highly qualified math teachers. And he thought that the current school that he was competing with was offering a $8,000 stipend, and so he offered $10,000, and the actual district was offering a $2,000 stipend. So that's going to be a huge cost to that district, but we went around the table and most of the vacancies are similar to what we have in terms of administration, assistant principal positions, and just leadership in general.
Are you done?
I was just gonna follow up and say, but if other schools are doing that, can we not, if we're looking for qualified people and that's what it takes, why would we kind of look at that and say, oh, that's ridiculous that they're offering that? Why wouldn't we try to consider the same thing to hire highly qualified folks?
So again, we have the budget that we have to work with in terms of what we can, offer, and, you know, we do work hard to retain our teachers and retain our staff, but again, people resign for professional and personal reasons that I'm not really privy to speak to.
Mr. Green, if you could go back to the teachers vacancy slide. You know, I'm well aware, you're well aware, as is the board, Ms. Chair, members of the board, that it takes a village. And that's not a saying that most people know just because it's a joke. And I think it's kind of a small misrepresentation of your slide. Because you're not talking about the village. You're kind of picking which statistics you wanna show. Because there's a village, and I understand you're losing, support staff, administrative staff, school nurses, and that's the village that it takes to train and educate a student. And with that village leaving, it's worrisome as well.
You just mentioned somebody in the village that we weren't aware of. So we just try to, I understand what you're saying and that's why I posted the current positions that we filled, that we recently filled, so that people can see the positions that we filled and what we still have vacant.
So I'd just like to know on the professionals that have decided to leave or that you've lost, do you do exit interviews with them to understand why you've lost them? Because if you don't understand why you're losing people, you can't come to a solution as to how you're going to retain them. You have to understand the problem in order to solve it.
So we do have exit interviews that take place through our HR office. So yes, we will end up having information as to why people are leaving.
When do you do those interviews?
The HR office takes care of them, so I will
I never
actually,
received
yeah,
one, so I
I'll
was just
actually
curious.
go back and find out when they're scheduled to occur.
Hand raised, thank you. Right beside you.
I work here part-time, but I'm also a very active member of the community. And the community read the newspaper article. I got lots of feedback from that, my phone rang off the hook. And in that, they got that the staff was leaving because they got not performed up to your standards. That's what they got. This is a community that you ask for money, volunteers, if there is a bond issue, and they're all like, oh, we didn't realize the staff up there was that bad. And what are you gonna do, since this was in the paper, what are you gonna do to correct that, if you feel that was false?
So this is why I wanted to publicly say that to counteract what the paper said, that through natural turnover and attrition, we've lost some highly qualified, motivated, caring, and hardworking staff members, and we will continue to recruit new teachers who are equally qualified. So it was not my intention for the quote to insinuate that we do not have hardworking, motivated teachers, because we do. We have a lot of people in this village who worked very hard to get us where we are. And so my commitment to our teachers and to our community and to our board is that we will continue to foster what we continue to build. I've been able to build on what the past superintendent had left in place to follow through. So it is my commitment that we will continue to seek out highly qualified, motivated.
And you're gonna find a way that they can read that instead of, because they're not here, they don't hear you.
Well, I'm hoping that Kim is here from Green Valley, and so, we're hoping to really get the message. We're live streaming the meeting. People will have access to the PowerPoint, so I really do want to emphasize that we are losing highly qualified teachers and staff, and that it's something that superintendents deal with on a regular basis. And I know we're trying to avoid that, because we definitely don't want it to be a revolving door. I don't want to be a revolving door. I don't want my teachers and staff to be a revolving door either, because I know that we have to continue to build a team and work hard at ensuring that we are providing the best for our students.
Okay, this is the first time I've heard, I didn't read the Green Valley News, and this is the first time I've heard about the position being filled. I knew that the other one was leaving. But I'm kind of confused how a fourth grade teacher is now suddenly qualified to be in charge of a whole entire school. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's not experience. And having a degree, a Bachelor of Arts degree from the U of A and a master's is somehow equivalent to being qualified. Granted, I only have one kid and she's only been here for a couple of months, but that doesn't seem right to me. That doesn't seem qualified. Where did you, I mean, Sunnyside School District? What are Sunnyside School District's scores? Where do they rank? What were her class scores? How was she as a teacher? What do her parents of her students say? Who was she? Where did she come from? That doesn't answer anything. This is just a little snippet, and that looks just like rhetoric that we're just supposed to swallow.
So we will have meetings and we'll to come in, and I'm sure that she will be able to come in and address your concerns and answer your questions as to what her qualifications are. And again, we had a committee, we went through the process, and like I said, I'm sure she's gonna be more than happy to sit with parents and have that conversation as well.
Well, I would recommend that start now rather than after school's already started and we're knee deep into
And just to clarify, Bachelor's of Arts and Science, that's what you get when you're in an education major. You get a Bachelor's of Arts and Science degree, and then you get a Master's in Educational Leadership and continue on towards specializing in certain areas and to a doctorate.
But I think she's saying that she hasn't had any prior experience as an administrator.
Yes, she did. Sorry. I
As
was
what?
part of the hiring committee, also the interview committee, and we had 3 applicants. Out of the 3 applicants, she was the most qualified, the most
okay,
qualified.
a degree
Other
is
than
not qualifications. I have a
She-
Bachelor's of Science degree. That doesn't make
She
me
has a lot. I mean, you did not get to see her resume. It was not even remotely what the newspaper put in there. Her resume was huge.
So she has been an administrator.
She is in a very highly administrative part right now in Sunnyside.
So she's in a position that because of budgetary constraints and how they label, she's an academic behavior support specialist, which is equivalent to the director of student services, quasi-assistant principal.
So she hasn't been a principal before.
No,
But it's her
she's been an
time to move
assistant.
up.
She's been technically an assistant principal for 4 years.
Could you tell me a little bit about the selection committee? Who is that, and how do you get on that?
There was 13 of us, I believe, 10 or 13, and some people from the foundation, parent advisory, teachers,
Classified staff.
and classified staff. So it was a mixture of a bunch of people.
I guess this goes to transparency, and as I see the list of the different things, the parent advisory committee jumped out at me. This is our first year here. We moved from Tubac. We were in the Santa Cruz school system for 2 years. There was more transparency there than there is here. I've never been notified. There's a parent committee, that advisory committee. Does anyone know about that? Other than, how do you get on that? Who are those individuals? How is there a selection committee? Where is that transparency? If there were other resumes, I understand he can't give us all that, but if there were other resumes, it would be interesting to know what that process is and who all is involved in making decisions on behalf of all of us here.
So, I'll start with parent advisory, because what I do is I ask teachers to recommend parents who are involved who they feel will be able to commit, and since you just moved in, so teachers give us the names, and then we reach out to the parents and we send emails and say, would you be willing to be part of parent advisory, and this is when we meet. So that's how that club, how that advisory is formed. We are looking and know that we need to get better at sending out information from parent advisory minutes of the meeting of what we discussed and what decisions we made, because that's where as parents last year and this year, they look at the questions for the parent climate survey, and actually the questions you will receive on the parent climate survey are questions that the parent advisory felt were important that we need to gather information on how we can continue to set goals to make it better. So that's parent advisory.
So we're really dependent on, even though I haven't involved in the classroom in my son's third grade class, I'm dependent on that teacher to say, hey, Doug's a good guy, let's recommend him.
Pretty much, because I think we've put, I mean, it's what parents do you know that are involved that want to have a voice that can help us. So we will, in our fall newsletter, again, put in there, we are seeking parents for parent advisory if you'd like to participate.
Okay, so it is gonna change then, the way that you can get on that.
Yes, yes. So we will do more outreach than that. Yes, yes.
How many applications did you get for the principal position? And out of that, you only interviewed 3?
We had 3, we were going to have 5, and we had two people pull out.
And how many applications did you guys receive for that? 5?
Yes.
Okay, and how long did you post that position?
So it was posted until filled, and so when we got our 5 applicants and we started to set up interviews and we ended up with 3, we decided to just go through with the interviews. We did have one person apply after we had already done interviews and had already selected the principal.
And were any of those applicants previously a principal?
No. No, sir. Yes.
Maybe a few days to weeks behind on this. I understood from the state legislature there's some kind of a bill going through that would eliminate independent school districts.
So that's a dead bill now.
That's dead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we don't have to worry about that right now. Yes.
Okay. I've worked as a public PR professional, so I can appreciate, the pre-drafted statement of recruiting qualified people, but I think what would help people, I mean, you don't need to exit interviews know necessarily why people are leaving. Can you give people an understanding of what kind of, not anyone individually, but generally speaking, why folks are telling you they're leaving, whether it's pay, whether it's school climate, whether it's they don't like the town? I mean, what are you hearing as far as, generally speaking, what people are saying as far as, why they don't want to hang around?
So, again, I'm not privy, I can say it's for personal and professional reasons.
You can't be more specific. I mean, is the pay here not competitive? What?
Our pay is competitive, but again, probably not as competitive as what larger districts who have over $13 million budgets compared to our $5 and $6 million budgets. And because we also pride ourselves in small class sizes, other districts are able to free up money for additional teachers by increasing class size. And that's not something that we want to do. We want to continue to keep lower class size to keep our staffing. So again, there are a lot of factors.
I'd like to interrupt you just to underline that we are not permitted under state law to talk about specifics.
I didn't ask
And
specifics.
And there are some reasons that should we give more specific answers, they would identify people, and that would be a violation of our duties. So if you have some specific questions, I would suggest that you would make an appointment with Ms. Rico and sit down and talk to her.
I don't even have, look, I think there's always gonna be turnover. My dad was a fifth grade teacher, fourth grade teacher for 30 years plus. He went through several principals. That's gonna happen. People don't stay forever. And I don't know if those numbers are necessarily out of the ordinary or out of whack. When you have turnover like that, if people are gonna be concerned, that happens. I'm just speaking as a parent and as someone who, I'm also very big into openness and government openness and transparency. And I think people don't feel like they're getting answers. They don't feel like they're getting, when all they get is, prepared statements, and they're not getting an answer as to what are the issues. Are there cultural issues? Is it people don't like each other? I'm not saying, we don't need to know specifically why any one person left, but if half a dozen people leave and they all say it's teacher pay, or if some of them just are getting out of the teaching, I mean, it is a combination of all of those things. I mean, I don't know what specific reasons, but if people had more of an idea of what the issues are, they probably would have less questions.
And with all the examples you gave, I can say you're spot on with reasons why people decide to take other positions.
I have a couple of comments. I've been here 6, 7 years, probably as long as anybody in here, except a few teachers. I know everybody here, and I don't know one person here, parapros, certified, classified, whatever, that is not highly qualified. I don't know where all this is coming from, that we're not hiring highly qualified people. I don't think there's one person in here that you can look at and say is not highly qualified to be working here or teaching here. And number two, teacher pay, when they come on, they know what it is. It's not a surprise. So when they leave later on, it is because higher pay somewhere else. And if you really want to know why people are leaving, make an appointment with the person that's leaving and ask them. They can tell you. But like I said, I don't think there's anybody here that's not highly qualified.
Albert, are you helping me be the
Yeah.
moderator?
Oh, I don't know that I need a mic, but, I work in the front office for the parents that I've not met yet, or I think pretty much I've seen everybody, but I wanna say that I think our communication has gotten so much better. People are getting notified more than they used to before. I think as far as happy people, I'm not sure that happy is the right word, but there's a lot of us that are very content, very satisfied, very fulfilled that we work here. I think there's more of us that feel good, feel passionate about our jobs than those that don't. And those that don't, that's okay that they leave. May they find happiness somewhere else.
I'm Patty Tesso, and I have been here 17 years. Started out kinder and PE, half-time eat. Mary McNichols brought me into the Continental family. At that time, somebody had to die at Continental to get in. You were on a waiting list to get into this school because this school was proud. This school had heritage. My father-in-law went to the original Continental School. I wanted to be here for him. I wanted to be here because it had a reputation. I wanted to be here because my kids love their school. My son is hearing impaired. I had the best special ed team to help him. I think we can get back to that. I just think we need to become community and a village. And I think we need the transparency. I think we need the communication. It's not all bad here. There's some great things about Continental still. There's some great teachers still here. Old, but I'm still here. I think we just need to come together and stop looking for the bad at Continental. And I think we need to be a family.
So I got some things before I leave, like Patty said. There are still a lot of committed people here at Continental. I've been here, this will be my 9th year here. Seems like I was just hired a year ago. I commute, I could work somewhere else, but I like working out here. So when everybody's complaining about teachers leaving, you gotta look at the teachers who are staying and why they are staying. You know, change is difficult. People don't like change. Some people don't do well with change. But when certain situations arise, if they feel that they need a change, you know, people will make a change. It happens. It's a fact of life. So what we should be looking at are the people that are here and committed to your children. Because, you know, we're not going anywhere anytime soon.
I guess I'll just say, those of us who've spoken up, I agree with you completely. Much like the gentleman who first spoke, we came up here to go to Continental. That's why we came here. We found Santa Cruz lacking. We had, after 3 years we were there, we had 1 awesome teacher, 2 mediocre. We thought we were going to get better up here. So just because we're raising these issues, just because we want this transparency, doesn't mean we're complaining. Doesn't mean we're saying the staff stinks. We're not saying that at all. We're craving answers to things we read about in the paper before we hear anywhere else. So I appreciate all the comments about the staff, and I agree. I mean, you're losing a few folks. They're highly qualified. They're key to some people. But I don't want it to come across that, oh, Doug was a crank. He was in there trying. No, I'm here because I'm interested. I'm here because I want that transparency. I'm here because I want to try to make this better. I want to be involved and try to make this better. So I don't want to come across like we're a bunch of cranks. No, we're just here for asking for answers and transparency. That's really all we're asking for.
A minute before we end, but I just want to reiterate that I appreciate your feedback and your ideas and your concerns. I have an open door policy, and I'm always willing to meet with anyone, any of our stakeholders, students, staff, parents, community members. I'm happy to discuss our continued school improvement efforts, and we'll continue to focus on maintaining and creating a positive climate and culture while keeping our emphasis on teaching and learning and increasing student achievement. That is why we are here. We are committed to our mission and vision statements that we review. Our teachers review them with our kids every year. Our pre-service days are talking about our mission and our vision. And how do we embrace the vision and mission? How does it become part of our daily operations and how we make decisions? In our mission statement, the Continental School community strives to achieve excellence in academics, life skills, and character. I am committed to our mission statement. Our board is. I know our teachers are. I know our parents are. All of our staff members. I see we have bus drivers who are working and doing fluency practice with kids on their spare time before their routes. So I know that we have committed people. Our community is amazing. Our volunteers, our teachers, there's so few of us that they have to wear a gazillion hats. And we joke about the fact that, you know, we have food service people and Mr. Lathan who drive bus routes when we're short. We have parapros who are stepping in and doing cross-training for students who really need it because we want to provide the best for our students. We have teachers who come in and do 0-hour practice in the morning at 7, and parents who bring their kids here at 7 in the morning for band. Our PTC, like I mentioned, the hours that people put in. I am so blessed to be here and surrounded by such amazing people, building for the future, learning, cooperating, and caring. And that's what I'm committed to, and I know our staff is committed to that, and as well as our board. So I really appreciate you being here. We really do take to heart your questions, your comments, your ideas. As you've seen, we've already made a few changes based on great ideas that staff and parents and community members have come to share with us. Please, if you'd like to meet with me separately or have specific questions, please fill out the yellow form, put your contact information so that I can ensure to get back to you before school ends. Again, have a great evening. Don't forget the yellow form so that I can follow up. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. If there's no objection, we're adjourned.